Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex. Today something a little different for the channel, giving you a tour of my local gaming expo with a focus on Nintendo Switch. They're commonly known for retro, let's face it, but for me you can find some real gems at these things. So with that luck, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. The convention then was GameOnExpo in Phoenix, Arizona. I'll be capping off the video with my pickups. It's running from August 5th through the 7th, and you will find it here yearly. It's not only gaming either then, but you've also got anime, tabletop, artists, panels, and cosplay as well. Thank you to the organisers as well. I emailed confirming I could carry a camera with me, and they responded with a free ticket, which means a lot. Walking into the hall though for the first time, it's good to be back. It's been a few years now, and it is the largest event here in Arizona. It's actually overwhelming just how much they have, with north of 250 vendors alone. I started, as I always do though, with the arcades. It's everything here from pinball to cabinets to competitions to tables filled with consoles and CRT monitors. There was even a section this year dedicated to VR. The gaming zone as well, I want to give them a shout out. They're one of my favourite stores in the local area. It seems they provided a large part of this setup. All of this gaming then as well, it's actually capped off with the Retro World Series, a competition where guests can partake in what is an elimination series. This year it was based around the Nintendo Campus Challenge from 1992, and it was essentially a free game run. Onto the game hunting then, and my first up, Premium Edition games, a more recent emergence in the limited run world. They've had some stellar titles as well, I think Phoenotopia, Wonderling, and Super Blood Hockey. My main reason though for this stop, it was the fact they had a limited edition variation of Demon's Tier Plus that was exclusive to this con. Now it's nothing more than a sleeve, but still a nice idea, and it had to go into my collection. While I was exploring the Premium Edition games area, then I did notice an indie team showing off their latest release, or at least it was an alpha at this point, but they're showing us an early build, and it was called Cultist Astronaut. I hope you can join me in demanding this one comes to the Switch. It looks incredible. I was speaking to the artist who basically broke down the whole experience for me, and also bonus points for the dev who was wearing a Bass IT, one of my favourite bands of all time. From the team's explanation though, it's definitely a difficult game, it's challenging, but it's not punishing. It's also not a roguelike or light, which is refreshing in itself to hear. This is the current trailer though to give you a feel for it, but that vibrant colour scheme, it was the absolute winner for me. The controls then are responsive from this demo play that they had on display, and they even had it packed into an arcade cabinet, which is always a nice touch and shows it could easily be ported to the Switch's control scheme. You can support this work as well currently over on itch.io if you don't mind playing on a PC. I'll be linking that down below. It's a name your own price job, and I actually jumped on it myself. The studio name here, it's Infinite Game Studios, and it looks like they could really be onto something good. Back into the vendors though, you know, all of the stores, the resellers, the retro, the anime, the manga, the figurines, tons of figurines. But amongst all of this, there's also a huge amount of Nintendo Switch on offer again. Because as I said, it's easy to associate these things with retro, but within the first hour alone, I'd seen some serious rarities for the Switch in Yamawari and Samurai Showdown at $150, Attack on Titan for a, well, definitely not cheap, $250, and then a huge amount of, you know, more kind of old school Nintendo as well. At something like this, you'll find some good prices, but of course, things can also get just crazy. For example, came across a $900 Pokemon 3DS and also a $600 Zelda 3DS. That is some big bucks that could empty your bank account very quickly. No doubt though, it's also somewhere around eBay pricing, but I could just never bring myself personally to part with that sort of, you know, money trading towards it on the other end. Honestly, maybe, but it would need to be something seriously special that I'm dying to have in that collection. One of my favourite vendors then was more of a traditional store, Juarez Games. They have a few socials and a website that's currently being rebuilt, but they had this great selection of more things like imports but at decent prices. Klonoa, I believe, for example, that never got a US physical release, but they had it from the UK, and they also then had Final Fantasy VII 8 Twin Pack, Super Robot Wars, all of them I believe, and yeah, the list goes on. Prices though, they were reasonable and mostly the 40 to 60 range, and you know, again, that's kind of the going rate, and that's really what you should expect at an event like this. If you want to knock prices down, you really want to be here the last couple of hours on the last day and look to the resellers who don't want to take any of this stuff home. I did not expect, however, to see at Warriors Games Splatoon and Xenoblade Chronicles Pro controllers. Now, I confirm they were legit. They were selling at 80 for Splatoon, 120 for Xenoblade. The Xenoblade, that's slightly above the going average, honestly, but you also kind of avoid the hassle of going through all of the potential fakes that you do see on places like eBay. I'm seeing them at this point just all of the time, and yeah, I definitely did some damage to the wallet at this one. So yeah, I could have definitely bankrupted myself, honestly, exploring. It's just wall after wall of games, and yeah, also of course a lot of retro, but a lot of Switch that I don't see all of that often. Another near pickup for me was Obra Dinn, the limited run release at $50. I was also dying to buy the Blasphemous Collector's Edition, but that was sadly out of budget, and they also had then the Collector's Edition of SMT5, but in the end I did figure out it was kind of overpriced. It's not just the games either, hardware has a huge presence. I saw the Animal Crossing Switch, the Monster Hunter one, the Mario Edition, plenty of the standards as well alongside OLEDs and accessories. I didn't know there were so many split pad variations, for example. I'm loving the Mega Man one, and yeah, I saw some reasonably priced Zelda Joy-Con too. Honestly, the list just kind of goes on and on. What's very cool as well actually on hardware to see the fixture team here. It's an adapter that allows you to use a Pro Controller while basically strapping the screen above it. I rarely use the Joy-Con personally, absolutely never without a grip, but this is another one I do like, as you know, there's nothing that beats the feel of the full-size Pro Controller. Also, they do have an OLED variation now available on their website, but it's not yet listed on Amazon. So before we do get to my pickups, then I just quickly want to shout out everything else outside of these, fenders. They had a tabletop gaming area for every skill level, including just lessons on how to play. There was a signature area, and they had a ton of guests from YouTubers like Pixel Game Squad and Metal Jesus Rocks to voice actors that have done everything from anime to gaming, think Final Fantasy VII and Mortal Kombat. I did catch one of the panels as well, Pixel Game Squad, always a good time, and that's near non-stop as well, from discussions to Q&A sessions. I actually missed one on the opening morning around the Breath of the Wild 2 game, and basically what do we hope to see and what do we know this far, and I would have loved to have heard everyone's input. It's all then rounded out with a cosplay corner, capsule toys, and a Nintendo Power Museum, which is actually owned by a single collector, and this thing is just crazy impressive. He has an Instagram page. I've been following him for a good while now, and I'll link that in the pinned comment down below. Alright, so let's talk my pickups, and as is always the case with these things, spent way more than I intended. Definitely happy with what I got though. My focus, as I said, it was really on imports and anything that's becoming, let's say, a bit more challenging to come by. I'll also be linking to all of these vendors in the pinned comment below, so do look there if you like anything that you do see. First, I'll cover the non-gaming pickups, and I got to speak to Ryan Kay over in the cosplay area. Amongst her prints and everything else though, I actually did find a Rengoku keyring. I'm definitely going through a Demon Slayer phase currently, and this, it was just $10 and it was a nice little print. On Demon Slayer as well, I grabbed a peak sticker for my laptop. It was $14. This came from Senpai Creations. They had a huge amount of these on offer as well, from just all sorts of anime. Some I recognised, others, yeah, definitely not so much. Finally, on the art side of things, I grabbed an Akami print. She created these with watercolours before having a print done, and this spin, it's playing with the idea of the Chinese zodiac. She had some incredible Sauda ones as well that I'm kind of regretting not picking up at this point. But yeah, there's also a load of like non-gaming related pieces as well, and this one, it's absolutely getting framed on my wall. It's by Samei Ma, and they have an Etsy that is being worked on. Again, all of the links down in the pinned comments. My final non-gaming related pickup I didn't expect, that was Japanese snacks. There was a Japanese snack stand. I spent like $50. Could not resist. Every time I asked which is better, I would somehow end up with just all of them. Looking forward to diving into these though on the next movie night or something, but the fender of this one, that is yay for anime, and I'm probably going to be going back honestly with my business. So the games finally, and here is the proof for me that it's not just a retro, and you can grab some really cool stuff. I picked up 3 from Premium Edition Games. That was the already mentioned Demon Tier Plus, the Con Exclusive Edition, alongside Cathedral and Phoenotopia. I love all 3 of them. I reviewed Phoenotopia here on the channel, had to be in my collection. I'll be linking that video in the pinned comment below. Demon's Tier Plus as well, it's worth knowing it's limited to 500 copies, but of course that meant it came at a premium. It was $50 compared to Phoenotopia and Cathedral, where they came in at $40. Then I ended up at Warriors Games, and this really stung the bank account. Like I said, you know, I spent money at maybe 6 or 7 stands at the very most, but there's over 250 on offer here, so there's a lot to dig through, a lot of ways to empty that bank account. So what caught my eye here was the fact they had a Super Robot Wars. I've been debating which one to play first, really want to try and get into these, and my understanding is they're not really connected, so they don't need to be played in release order. I was actually prepping for a Play Asia order, but it's really nice to have the option to avoid this because honestly for me I always experience incredibly slow delivery times. So look, anyways, they don't just have a one Super Robot Wars, which would have made my life a whole lot easier, honestly, and a little less damage to the bank account, but in fact they have all 4, and somehow I ended up picking up 3 of them. That's X, V, and T. They were 55 each. I thought that was fair, and the only one I skipped was 30, and that's mainly because it was priced at like 70 bucks, which was just a little too high, and given the fact these 3 alone, I've probably got over 200 hours of game ahead of me, so can probably wait on that delivery time where it is more around that region of 50-55. Plus, honestly, should really find out if I even like them. Seems like my thing, hear positive things, but it was definitely an expensive gamble of this one that I'm hoping it pays off. I also then, as well, from Warriors Games, grabbed Klonoa, which as far as I'm concerned, this didn't have a US release, and they had the import for what was an extremely reasonable 40 bucks. I just don't think I'm going to be able to beat that price unless I go maybe the pre-owned route on eBay or something along those lines. My only other pickup though, I paid retail for Digimon Survivor. I had the digital, but it seems this is near impossible to find already, so I figured why not add it to the collection while I can at this price. I'm not sure if Bandai did a smaller print run of this, or if it's just a fact of maybe a manufacturing delay, but everywhere I look it seems to be sold out. Overall though, look, it's great to have Expos back, and just know as a Nintendo Switch fan there's a good chance you'll find plenty of unique releases that enter all of that common, you know, limited runs maybe, or con exclusives. Sure, the games, they don't always come cheap, but it's at the same time just fun to look around and fun to see the community in the local area. Do you head to cons in, or do you prefer to do your hunting elsewhere? Let me know in the comments down below. With that then, like, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews and deals near daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.